Hey there, it's Kelly Sheets, and today I want to talk about celebration and what that even means and how it really affects your ability to tap into the sense of fulfillment that's available for us as humans. I was having a conversation with my friend Trish the other day, and we've talked about celebration and joy a lot over the last 8 years or something. And the conversation was really leading back to something I've examined over and over and over again, particularly about high achieving mindset. People that push themselves to achieve more and accomplish more and get things done. And often what happens is that we end up becoming productive and we do these things and we don't ever stop to acknowledge the completion of these amazing things. Something great will happen and a client will just go on to the next thing. And I'm like, wait. You just completed this thing, or you achieved this thing, or you did this beautiful thing. And there's no pause to appreciate, celebrate, and really be with that thing before moving on to the next. Okay, now on to the next thing, now on to the next thing. And so what I see happening is that I think this is cultural. I think this is part of the way that we've been programmed in a way, but that when we don't stop and pause, it's like we make the productivity, the doing, just like those busy bee insects that would just do. We make the doing more valuable than what and why we're doing this. And what happens is that fulfillment is not aligned with just doing things mindlessly. Fulfillment is within, it's the state, this beingness, not this doingness. It's a being state that is at ease and expansive. Well, celebrating when we've achieved something or we got something right, or we celebrate when we realize when we got something wrong. The energy of celebration is fuel. And what I've noticed is that when we are not willing to stop and celebrate our wins, or it can be really tiny things, it doesn't have to be big wins. I made $1 million, let's celebrate now. No, it can be any little thing during the day that you realize, oh, that's something I wanted to do and I did it, or I meant to say that and I said it. It can be small, it can be large. When we do not celebrate with this energy of appreciation, what we do is we constantly validate that we've got to keep being productive and we are never enough. It constantly affirms the not enough state. And my sense is that the fear is that if you stop and celebrate, if you had the energy of celebration more often, that's a lot of energy. That's a too muchness. So you're vacillating between holding yourself in the not enough state and avoiding the too much state. So it's like this Robotron mode of just going along and achieving, producing. To what end? Production and productivity and fulfillment are not really, not that they're not aligned. You can be productive and fulfilled, but you don't get fulfilled through production, through productivity, through checking the boxes. Because I've certainly met many people, I've had many clients that are like, well, I've done all the things, I've checked all the boxes. I should be really happy now, but they're not fulfilled. That's because it's an inside game and we have to go inside. So the energy of allowing us to celebrate something, it doesn't mean you have to have a party. I know friends, when I've talked to Trish, right? She does things like celebration, like going to a great restaurant and enjoying the food there with a friend or with her husband, right? That's amazing. I found over time that what worked for me was more this internal acknowledgement that throughout the day, I would let the feeling of celebration well up within me. And I'm saying celebration, but it's often appreciation that I said or did or completed something, that my act and my actions are going to help people or contribute to someone's life, mine included. So appreciating and celebrating myself for doing something like dancing this morning in my office. I put on music in the mornings and I dance like a crazy person to electronica and techno music, which is typically for nightlife, but I do it in the morning, totally sober. I'm dancing around and I'm celebrating that I'm doing this. I can feel the energy of appreciation rising in my body. That state allows me to fuel for the next thing. It allows me to be available for other people. It allows me to move and think clearly towards the next trajectory. Unfortunately, when we don't celebrate and we get into the list making productivity mode, sometimes we forget why the heck we're doing this. And there's like zero fulfillment in that. We just check the boxes and when there's no consciousness around what we're doing. So I want to invite you today to examine, are you that person that just keeps going for the next thing? And like you take just a millisecond and be like, oh yeah, good thing we got done that, stop. Find some way to celebrate. Go to dinner for every new client you have, or, do a happy dance, or simply just let yourself well up the feelings of celebration and appreciation. Find something that works for you, but that energy is more of a contribution to the state of fulfillment than if you just keep producing and moving forward. There's a dullness in that. Even if you achieve all of these things, you will not feel fulfilled from them because you're not allowing the very state of being that you want, that you're seeking, to arise within your system. So celebrate, appreciate, let that energy come up. And if there's anywhere in your mind where it's like, be humble, we don't celebrate, then what if you experiment and say, well, let's just not pay attention to that for the next 2 weeks or a month. I'm just going to see what happens when I celebrate and appreciate, and see how that actually manifests things in the world, or how that actually feels in my system, or how it affects the people around me. Is it true that I'm not being humble by celebrating and appreciating these achievements I've achieved throughout the day? So celebrate. That's the word of the day. That's what I want to share, is just look at your behavior and notice where you're not willing because you're afraid, you want to keep the not enoughness going, or you're afraid of being too much. Just test it. Are you really too much if you celebrate all the time? If you're that vibrant, who knows? So test it out, experiment.